Here's a review of the Teton 45-liter Scout backpacking backpack. I just got back from my first ever backpacking trip. We went to Crystal Cove down here in Southern California, and this backpack was perfect. It was actually my last purchase that I bought for the trip because I wanted to make sure everything could fit in the bag that I bought, and I wanted to stay as light as possible, so I went with the 45-liter. Now this backpack was great for a few reasons. Obviously with a backpacking backpack, you do want your hip straps here to kind of rest a lot of that weight on the hips and distribute it so it's not all on your shoulders, and these did well for that. And then you also have a really nice adjuster in here as well for if you have a longer torso or a shorter torso. It's just great to be able to adjust that. Another thing that you're gonna know when you actually put it on is that you do need to pull these straps up near the top. If not, the bag will actually be kind of separated from the frame of it, and you'll wonder why you kind of feel like you're leaning back. So definitely pull these straps when you set it up to make sure that it's as tight to you as possible. At least that's what I did. Now, as far as storage, this thing has a lot of it. Once you lift up this little top piece here, you have this entire bag to go into, and that's where I put my tent and my sleeping bag and everything else in here. And then you have this little cover, which I thought was just like a cool cover to put on top of it, but it actually has a pack in here as well where I kept all of my food. You'll notice a zipper pouch in there where you can put your food and snacks and whatever else you need. Now I did say that I put like my tent and sleeping bag in there, but I actually ended up switching my sleeping bag to this bottom pouch because I didn't realize how like tightly packed I could pack my sleeping bag. So I ended up shoving it in this smaller portion in the bottom. Now what's cool about this is that once you put your hand all the way through to this bottom, you think you're at like the end of the bag, but you're not because you have this whole other section right here, which is pretty large. Like I said, I fit a sleeping bag in there. And as you can see, this thing isn't the tiniest thing, but I did shove it in there and fit it, and it was great, and it carried it just fine. Another thing I liked about this bag is the two side pockets. I used mine for hygiene on one and then electronics on the other, and I was able to fit all of my stuff in there with no problems, like a power bank, my little portable inflator. I had all my deodorants and toothbrushes and everything in here on this other side. And then it also has two water bottle things on the bottom. That would actually be one of my negatives on this. So I bought a Nalgene 32-ounce wide mouth water bottle for this trip, and it does fit. So there's no reason it won't. But the problem is when you're backpacking, you want to be able just to grab your water bottle, go, drink it, put it back in. Well, when you take this one out, it is impossible to do it with one hand. And even if you're super stretchy, you can use both hands. It's just more of a chore. So I actually left this one at home and just used the regular smart water bottle that I had. And this was perfect. I could one hand this all day. So I just kept drinking water, putting it back in. Now, you're probably wondering, why don't you just use the Camelback or like a hydration bladder, which this actual pack has a spot to slide it in here behind your back right here. You can just slide in the hydration pack, which is nice, but I'm just not into the straws. I've never really liked those things. So I just take like a hydration bladder and I put it in here, and then I have my water bottle just for normal drinking and things like that. Now, one thing I wish this pack had that I did try out in other packs is the little hip pocket area right here. There's no zipper pouch on the hip, which I wanted to use for snacks, cell phones, things like that. So I ended up having to pack more into the bag and on the sides than I would have liked to, because I did want the hip bags for more easier access. Because when you do want to use these top pouches, you do have to take off the bag to use them. It does also have a rain fly as well, but down here in Southern California, very rarely does it rain, and we probably would have just not gone that weekend if it had. You can kind of tell in advance. But it does have a rain fly, which is really nice. And then it has a lot of bungee cords and straps on this thing as well. So if you did want to like hang your sleeping bag to the bottom or bungee it to it, or even hang your tent or hang your camping chair, whatever you want to put on there, you can, because there's a lot of room for it. I'm 6 foot tall, and this bag fit me well in all of my stuff, but I did my best effort to be as light as possible with all of my gear. I had a buddy who had the exact same bag, but he had a 55-liter, and he had more than enough room. Plus he could his bag looked actually smaller than mine because mine was stuffed so tight with all of my stuff. So you maybe want to go a little bit bigger if you're worried about how big your stuff is, but I got the lightest stuff I could and the smallest stuff that I could and compressed it as much as I can. That's why I went with the smaller bag. It did a very good job of not making me too hot either. Like another buddy didn't have a frame on his backpack, and his back was sweaty every time we sat down or took off our packs. Mine was not. Mine was completely dry every time because of this, and it was super padded, super comfortable. It's a really good backpack for backpacking. I think it's only around like 3 or 4 pounds, so it's not that heavy on its own, but obviously once you get everything piled in there, it feels heavy anyway. I'm gonna throw up a picture of me with it on just so you can see what it's fully packed at. I think I was at 26 pounds when I had everything, including water and food, and that's what it looked like with it. And to be honest, if you've never held like a backpacking bag or stuffed one full and then put it on, you're gonna be like, what the heck? That's what happened to me. I packed it all in there. I was like, I got the small stuff. This will be so light, so easy. I put it on, I'm like, whoa, I did not expect this at all. And although it was only 26 pounds, it's still more than what I was used to carrying, you know, a JanSport with some textbooks in it back in the school days. So, but all in all, great backpack. I don't know if it's Teton or Teton, but I really like it, and I definitely recommend it if you guys are going for a backpacking trip. I could have done more than just the one day with this bag easily, but it did me great for what I used it for, and I couldn't recommend it enough.